Welcome to the Prodigal and the Priest podcast, a podcast about faith, sports, and two friends from different cultures. Here are your hosts, Joey Scansella and Father Paul Bechter.
Look at that.
Just look at it.
Some good-looking people on the screen behind us. For those who do not subscribe to our St. Anne Parish YouTube page, you probably want to do that. We have a new little setup here. We found a different room in our church, and it has a TV behind us, and we're like, hey, why not toss up our image on the TV? So maybe we'll have like scrolling things, topics. I don't know. We could get creative, but...
The world is our oyster.
That's right.
Whatever that means.
Isn't it like the world's our ocean and we're on a ship? Or isn't there another one too? Like
no,
the
I
world's
think it's just that one.
Oh, okay.
There's no other metaphors.
None.
We're sitting on the wrong side though, because in the picture, like my little cartoon picture's over by you.
Right, but it matches the words prodigal, priest.
Yeah. Okay.
There you go.
All right. Well,
how's it going?
It's going good, man.
Good.
Yeah, I went and played golf yesterday morning.
Everybody must think this episode's on repeat. It's like Groundhog's Day. It's like I went and played golf.
Just trying to get outside, and I went very early, at 7:20 a.m. That was my tee time, and sunrise is like 7 o'clock.
I was gonna say it was probably still wet on the grass. You know that dew.
There was a frost delay. 40 minutes.
Really?
Until the sun came up high enough to melt the frost on the greens.
Because what's it gonna do?
I don't know. You'll hurt it. It's bad for the grass. Something like that.
Because the grass has feelings. That's right.
Yeah. They care about the grass more than the golfers, I think.
They do. So, okay, I had an idea here, right?
All right.
And I don't think this is going to be a popular episode with people because of what we might talk about. But I just need to...
Ominous.
Yeah, go on a little bit of a mini rant. And I understand that part of this is because of COVID and the world that we're living in and people being in their homes. So I just want to share that. But we recently did a series in youth ministry on gratitude. Just how in our culture, Americans are one of the like highest percentage of people that like are never satisfied or never grateful compared to other cultures. And I feel a little bit like I've seen it play out right before my eyes with how many people the day after Halloween have started. It's like they've fully skipped over Thanksgiving and just went straight for Christmas. Now, I understand like that Thanksgiving, the holiday, I'm not saying that has a significance in like our Catholic faith per se, right?
Sure.
But just that idea of, I truly believe Thanksgiving, I love it as a holiday, one, because you get to eat, but then two, and you get to watch football while you do that. Yeah. And three, we are so bad at being grateful that it is a holiday that we get to focus outward and say, this is what I'm thankful for. The good, the bad, the ugly, all of it. And I feel like as Americans, and especially this year, we're just saying, there's not really a lot to be thankful for. I just want to move to the season of it being kind of...
Oh, of receiving?
Yeah. And I get it. Like, the lights are cool, and the present idea is cool, and, you know, and it would bother me less if it was really about Jesus being born, right? Mm-hmm. But they're not taking that opportunity. They're just saying like, well, this is the feel-good season now. And 2020 has been a terrible year. I don't really feel good. Let's hurry up to at least Christmas season where we can feel good. It's just been bothering me.
Yeah. No, I'm very intrigued by that because I kind of live in a bubble. And... haven't.
What do you mean? Pray tell.
No, I just mean like I don't always have a good sense of like what the culture is doing right now. So like I'm not sure if you're talking about like what you've seen on social media or going into stores and seeing decorations there.
I think
or
all
conversations with other people where they've actually said things like this.
Even just people decorating their yards. I've never seen so many Christmas lights, like houses fully decked out already right now on this date than ever before. At least before there was kind of this, hey, let's do it the day after Thanksgiving, right?
Okay.
So that's a thing for us people that own houses and have the responsibility of decorating.
And there's also me like living in Rome all those years, which I can always use as an excuse when I don't understand something here.
Right, because they don't celebrate Thanksgiving in Rome. So, and maybe that's just an American thing.
Although we did at the NAC. I can go into that later if you want.
Great. Yeah, I would love to hear that in a minute. It's just, I don't know. I've just noticed it. And even my kids being like, well, great, it's already Christmas season. Let's put together our wish list and let's go look at the lights. And it's just very much me focused instead of, I feel the culture, and maybe it's just coming out of a series on being grateful, where I've recognized personally in my prayer life, yeah, I'm not grateful for the things that go bad. I'm not grateful for the things that go good. Both of those things. And we did a series and we talked about Job and we talked about a lot of these things that, are tough and really like, man, would we be faithful among that? And I just don't want us to miss the moment of us staking our claim as Catholics and saying, you know what, among this craziness of 2020, among this pandemic, among the hurt and the pain and kind of the division, were we a light to the nations? Were we a people that could point out gratefulness among the hurt, among the pain? And it just kind of bothers me. I feel like people just want to hurry up and race to Christmas and not to celebrate Jesus in any way, but to just celebrate the feel goods.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what I kind of wanted us to be about today. So tell me a little bit about Thanksgiving in Rome while you think about the other things.
Yeah. No, what you say makes a lot of sense. And
I could be alone. Some people, I'm not insulting you if you put up your lights. Like nothing against you, you know?
I kind of always respected the people who just keep the lights up year round.
Right, but these aren't those people.
No, these aren't those people. Yeah, I like the lights. I guess I went to a grocery store yesterday for the first time in a while.
Okay.
And no, so sorry.
Where's this thought coming from? Great. I went to the grocery store too.
No, and they had their seasonal aisle and it was all decked out with Christmas stuff. So I guess if I wanted to buy anything Thanksgiving themed, I don't know, maybe I wouldn't have seen it.
If you did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's not a terribly profound reflection. Let me talk about the NAC a little bit.
Yeah.
So
talk about the NAC.
So the NAC was an interesting place. 250 American seminarians from many different states.
Right.
Living in Rome. And a lot of them living there for the first time. Like they're in their first year or something like that. And so they made sure that like the fall, especially on Thanksgiving, and the whole weekend of Thanksgiving, they made sure that felt as sort of American as possible because people were getting homesick and some people had never been away from home. I grew up kind of living away from home with the whole Bermuda thing and going to college here.
Yeah, you wouldn't go home for Thanksgiving to Bermuda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'd been used to that kind of thing. And like living in Bermuda, we didn't celebrate Thanksgiving the way they do here. My family's American, so we did, but it's not like Dad got the day off from work or anything for it. It's a British island. They're like anti-Thanksgiving. Right? So anyway.
You had to put in 10 hours of work that day, not just your 8.
Right.
Yeah.
To make up for these Americans. So anyway, at the NAC, we had all these different guys, and on Thanksgiving Day, they made turkey and they made pumpkin pies, like these Italian cooks that we had on staff.
So was it good?
Yeah, and pumpkin ravioli was the first course.
No.
Yes.
Oh.
Which wasn't bad. It was a little sweet for my taste, but wasn't bad. And they had all of the seminarians sit in tables arranged by state. And we would deck out those tables with like all the stuff we could from our state or Thanksgiving related or America. So Texas, of course, I think we had like 15 seminarians. When I
Loud
was
and
there.
proud.
Yeah. We always tried to get put up against a wall so we could hang a bunch of Texas flags on the wall.
Just as many as you can.
Yeah. We had a ton of them. And we had like blue bonnets and like a picture of George Bush or something.
Wait, actual blue bonnets?
No, they were.
Oh,
they
okay,
were the
I was
fake
like, isn't
ones.
that illegal to pick? Aren't they?
Are
Like,
they? Because they're a state flower?
Maybe somebody can send us in information about that. But I'm pretty sure it's illegal to pick a blue bonnet.
Interesting.
Look, I'm not even a like true Texan, and I know
what's
that
the
over
New
you.
Jersey state flower?
Don't know.
From the Garden State?
The
Y'all
Garden
don't have any
State.
flowers?
We don't. But our bird is the eastern goldfinch. There you go.
All right.
Okay, so you
So-
would do pictures, all this
so we
George
would
Bush.
do all this stuff, like random picture of George Bush, W. And there was a cowboy boot and all sorts of stuff just on the table. And it is a really big thing. And they would basically tell us, you can take today, well, definitely take today, but you're kind of expected to take Thursday, Friday off from school, even though
Nice.
it's Italian university and they don't care about American holidays. But so we would have the long weekend. We would play a football game, sort of new men versus old men kind of thing. It was very intense.
Nice.
It was a really great weekend, and it was all sort of like done a bit over the top to counteract any sort of like onset of homesickness. But it being at a seminary, and I guess this is my point, other than just to paint the picture of like, these were the biggest Thanksgivings I've ever seen.
Right.
And we would invite all the American professors in Rome, or a lot of them,
Right.
to come and sit with us. But part of the reason I bring that up is, with it being in a seminary context, you saw this like the goodness of the American holiday, and how it sets itself so up for like a profound message in our faith, because gratitude is at the very heart of our faith.
Yeah.
And it's like this whole dynamic that you're talking about seeing this year, I saw like in a different way over there, where we had this incredible privilege of like living in Rome.
Mm.
And it became so easy to take that for granted and to start complaining or like fueled by homesickness.
Right.
To be like, Italy is the worst. I just want to go back home.
Said no one ever.
Yeah, said
Come
no
on.
one ever. You'd be surprised how many people said it.
No, I'm sure.
But just all of that, and that holiday falling at such a point where we could actually take it as a real time of gratitude.
Mm.
Like can watch the Charlie Brown Thanksgiving, and
Right.
which was always fun. We would always do that. And we had a turkey trot too. We would run around Vatican City, which was, if you added a couple little wrinkles to the loop, it would be a 5K
5K. Nice.
around the country.
Well, I mean, so we don't, this is a side tangent. We do everything by miles here. Why do we do 5Ks? Why don't we do a 3-mile race?
Good question.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
But
I guess
anyway,
it's just the international standard. I mean, if you're asking me, I would move away from miles to kilometers.
I think I've heard,
I'm
yeah,
one
I
of
think
those guys.
I'd be fine. Yeah, it just seems like, it seems inconsistent with everything else.
In Bermuda, we measured distance by miles, but speed by kilometers per hour. Deal with that.
Well, or you see people on the back of on their cars with the little 26.2. You ever seen that?
Yeah, marathon.
So 26.2 miles, but a 5K or a 10K. It's just inconsistent. That stuff bothers me.
Yeah.
Just one way or the other. Anyway, I mean, would you say I'm off base on the whole? We're not very grateful people, Americans. We struggle with it. Like the actual gratitude. And I mean, both sides of it. It's been personal in my prayer life. You know, when bad things happen, whether they be funny, like just kind of pity things, or actual bad things, my first response isn't, okay, let me see where the Lord is in this and be grateful. You know, I'm trying to learn that. I'm working on that. It's something I'm asking the Lord in my prayer life to say, you know, what we hear in Job 121, right? The Lord giveth, the Lord taketh away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. We literally put that on Kiara's gravestone because it's something that, you know, we learned in that moment to say, the Lord is in control, you know, and that he can bring about good and blessings in any moment. And, you know, so it's kind of dual fold. I think what I'm struggling with in the sense of like that we're not a very grateful culture. And I'm sure we'll get to it a little bit later when Advent comes up. But I feel like as soon as then Thanksgiving hits, if people have even waited, which this year it doesn't feel like they have, it's just like party on Christmas season instead of, you know, Advent's a little Lent, right? Like we should really be preparing.
Yeah, it's a penitential season of waiting and preparing and being watchful and vigilant. And
which I would say, you know,
why we wear violet for it.
Right. So that's where I'm coming from on all this. So, but going back to the grateful thing, because I saw it kind of pique your interest. I mean, would you agree? I mean, you see Americans, our culture here, Coppell, wherever you want to categorize it, I think we struggle to be grateful.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're right. Again, I kind of live in a bubble, but I know I struggle to be grateful. That my first response often is to complain and not to rejoice when something goes wrong. And that complaining just becomes this kind of like this toxic thing, which just continues to poison stuff, whereas gratitude is like leaven and brings it lightness. And I think I'm pretty good at preaching on gratitude. Like whenever I start reflecting on the readings or I have to give someone advice, like I understand it. But then when it actually applies to my own life, not nearly so much. But I was just earlier today kind of thinking ahead for my homily this weekend. It's Christ the King, reflecting on the first reading from Ezekiel, where the Lord says, like, I myself will come and pasture my sheep, and I will gather them from all of their sort of being scattered and bring them back. And it uses these words. There's this line in there. It's from Ezekiel 34. And he says, I will rescue them from every place where they were scattered when it was cloudy and dark. I was like, that's an interesting line. So I started looking it up in Hebrew and reading it. And the words there for cloudy and dark, it's like when there was cloud and deep darkness. Anan va'arafel are the words in Hebrew. And it just, something clicked a little bit in my mind because, like, I don't know, what other words could you use for cloudy and dark on the one hand? So it's not like, you know, there's something deeply special there. But on the other hand, like, I've seen those words used in the book of Exodus, when they're building the tabernacle, or when the cloud comes and descends upon the tabernacle, or rather when the pillar of cloud leads the Hebrews out from slavery in Egypt. That's that same word anan, which means cloud. And like, what other word are you going to use? But it just, that's interesting. Like, God is there, and that cloud is actually a sign of his presence, even if we don't recognize it. And then that other word, arafel, I remember reading the temple building and institution narrative in 1 Kings. It's like 1 Kings 8 or something.
Yeah, that's what I was
7 to
say.
9, somewhere in there. When Solomon is dedicating the temple, it's this really long prayer, and it talks about this deep darkness in the temple, and that being like this sign of God's presence. And it's an unusual sign of God's presence, right? You know, God is light. He's the light that dispels the darkness. But here, like, both of those words that are used in Ezekiel, when God himself promises that I will rescue them, my scattered sheep from every place where they were scattered when it was cloudy and dark. Like, those are bad words, right? Because cloudy and dark means this is where my sheep are lost.
Mm-hmm.
But those same words are used as signs of God's mysterious presence throughout the Old Testament. And not just his presence anywhere, but like his presence dwelling in his temple and in the precursor to the temple, in the tabernacle in the desert. And it just struck me. I still have to develop the thought, but there's something there that, like, in the dark situations in our lives, like, the darkness itself should be a reminder of God's presence with us.
And that the light
he's,
will overcome it.
Yeah.
And it
that
points
the light will
yeah.
overcome it, for sure. But, like, it's not that he's not there just because you can't see him. Like, there's something about this, he's so close you can't see him kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah. But I don't know. Again, it's easier to preach on than to live. But, like, the takeaway from that for me is that like, St. Paul's not kidding that every different circumstance is a time for rejoicing, whether light or dark.
Doesn't it say, like, rejoice always? I say again, rejoice always. Yeah. It's like, hey, if you didn't hear it the first time.
He says rejoice, y'all, by the way. Kairete.
Nice. Yeah. So before we go, to our normal closing segment of our first thing, I want somebody who's listening not to hear it's bad to focus on the beauty of Christmas. It's bad to focus on, like, the prettiness of the lights and
Christmas
letting your kids enjoy.
Best.
No, like, yeah, we love it. I love it. I want to focus, though, and say, don't forget, among any suffering you ever go through, among any beautiful triumph or, terrible thing, the gratitude that the Lord, like, deserves. And I don't know, do you have any good, if I was saying, hey, this person's struggling with gratitude, any good practices for them to maybe, look into, do?
Yeah, I mean, and it may sound like the same thing that I would recommend in a lot of situations,
right.
But, like, to pray every morning with the scriptures and to make an examination of conscience at night and look, like, by that I mean look over what you do during an examination of conscience is you say basically, come Holy Spirit, help me see the times during the day when you have been there and I haven't seen you, when you have been there and I have seen you and I've rejected your grace, and the times where I've cooperated with that grace.
Mm-hmm.
And help me to rejoice at the times when I did cooperate, to be sorrowful in a healthy way, repentant at the times when I rejected your grace, and to be more attentive to your presence tomorrow. Like, that simple examination at the end of the day can build a habit of gratitude, because you can build this habit of, like, being attentive to God's presence and his grace throughout the day.
Yeah. One of the things that was told to me by a spiritual director at one point was he had broken it kind of into, like, invitation into God, spending like 3 minutes, like, inviting God into your prayer time, 3 minutes for intercession, 3 minutes for petitions, 3 minutes for thanksgiving, and then just 3 minutes of silence to allow the Lord to speak. And that 3 minutes of thanksgiving is just, like, literally I've set a timer and just been like, I'm going to, everything I can think of, just put it out there and just be like, Lord, I'm, and you always start, or at least I did, I would be like, okay, I'm thankful for the roof over my head and my family and my friends. But you eventually develop into a deeper ability to actually say, I'm thankful, Lord, for this cross you gave me and what it's taught me. I'm thankful for, this challenging person you've put into my life who's, really helped me to practice patience or whatever it is, so I don't want our listeners to, hear that we can't overcome this and we can't, work through it together, and that we can't, we can celebrate Christmas together too. So we can enjoy the lights and all of that, but, let's just make sure to give gratitude and thanksgiving our our all. So, what you watching, what you reading, what you thinking?
I watched the Masters, or at least some of it, this weekend. Saw Dustin Johnson win his first Masters, second major championship.
Yeah.
That was pretty awesome. I didn't see Tiger make a 10 on like 13 or whatever it was. No, it wasn't 13, 15. Anyway, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Masters in November is kind of weird.
Yeah.
But it was really cool to watch. What am I reading? You know, I just had the inclination to pick up that same book that we've mentioned a couple times and reread it, Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. Because I've started to think, like, you know, he has all these sort of symptoms of what he calls hurry sickness, and I'm like, I feel like I'm right in the midst of that right now.
Yeah.
Like I've got the hurry sickness. So maybe that's a good thing to revisit. Haven't picked it up yet. Don't have time.
Too busy.
And what am I thinking? I don't know. It's a beautiful day outside. I sat in the courtyard.
Why are we
lunch.
inside?
I know, right? We got that little patio over there. I've never seen that before or been out there, but
How long have you been at this fair?
over a year.
That's great.
Year and a half-ish. What are you watching, reading, thinking?
Yeah, watching always sports. I might have said it last time. I might not have, so I'll repeat it again. My wife and I watched a 4-part documentary on the Challenger. Did I say that last time? I might have.
You told it to me. I don't know if you said it on
Okay,
here.
yeah. Which then the other night was on the movie The Martian. All right, I just saw you swallow wrong there.
Yeah.
Great movie.
Great movie, yes. Great book.
Great book, so I hear. But great
So
movie
I've told
also. And so is my wife and Father Edwin and a bunch of other people. Shout out Father Edwin.
What's up?
Reading. I've been reading a lot of articles online about how to get a PS5. So PlayStation is coming out with their 5th edition. You know, this is where you are like not of the world and all of that, and it's very hard to get. And anyway,
Why is it? Oh, because it's limited or something?
Yeah, just limited.
They're playing hard.
Yeah. And so if any of our listeners know that, then hook us up.
So do you have to like...
I've tried with like,
or something?
no, but like they release it at certain times on certain websites and certain things. And yeah, it's funny because I'm not even into really video games that much. Every now and then,
But
a
you
sports
want to give
game.
it to me as a Christmas present?
Yeah, I'm going to pray about it. Gratitude. So, and what am I thinking? That, I need to pick up my son from school in a few minutes. Help me stand out at the sidewalk. I'll be like, oh, sorry, I was podcasting, Dom. So,
you know.
And also that Sophia got baptized.
Sophia did get baptized.
Yeah,
that was
you were
beautiful.
there. Yeah,
I was.
yeah.
I was hovering around.
You got to see
Father
Dom.
Edwin.
You got to see Dom act as like intercessory priest.
That was incredible. He wanted nothing more than to be Father Edwin. Right
Yeah.
then.
Yeah. So Father Edwin, for those listeners, he baptized Sophia, but Father Paul was there, Father Henry. It was just it was very small, like the 3 priests and then my parents and Nikki's mom and
then the godparents.
Yeah, and the godparents, Marcy and Jordan. And so it was just Dom. There's like a few images I'll have to share on the thread of just everything Father Edwin did, like Dom would do.
Yeah.
Like he was literally like,
amazing.
I'm going to baptize her. So that's why Father Edwin said, we baptize you in the name of the Father.
To include Dom.
Yeah.
Which is definitely valid.
Valid. So we recorded it,
It's really
so we
the
know.
most
Yeah.
appropriate thing to do.
Yeah.
Pastoral.
That's right. So, hey, also, we want to tell our listeners this. Next week, you're going to want to get caught up on your episode. So we're going to be off next week. We're taking off next week to spend some time with family, friends.
In gratitude.
Yeah, in gratitude, just being thankful. So we will have our normal edition of the question episode on Friday and all of that. But we're taking off next week from our podcast. But definitely make sure to subscribe to all our channels, submit those questions, prodigalandthepriest@gmail.com, stannanparish.org/PTP. On behalf of Joey Scansella, Father Paul Bechter, take care.
God bless.